Welcome to the second online module to support individuals and/or teams on the critical components of the Tier 3 intervention, functional assessment-based interventions. Outcomes of this video will be to review critical features of a function matrix, demonstrate how to input the functional assessment data into the matrix, and use the function matrix to guide the development of a hypothesis statement. Let's start with a review on the critical features of a function matrix. To know how to use the function matrix, first we have to understand the function of behavior. Behavior communicates two ideas: to try to get or avoid something. What students or adults might try to get or avoid would fall into three categories: activities, intangibles, attention, or sensory. In order to determine function, you will analyze record reviews, interviews, and ABC data. Let's take a look at some examples. A part of the records review in Handout 2 is to review the student's permanent file. As we read comments from the student's report card, discipline records, IEP, and evaluation reports, we found several that highlighted possible behaviors that would relate to the function. Interviews are a crucial piece of the functional assessment. On this slide, you will find comments that the individuals shared in each interview. As you learned last session, ABC data is collected on a specific target behavior during a specific time of the day, context, for 2 hours in order to observe at least 8 to 10 occurrences of the target behavior. What do you see in the consequence of these strands that indicate why the student is displaying this behavior? So, for example, if the student shouted out and the class laughed, the class laughing would give her pure attention. If the teacher removed her from the class when she shouted out, it would tell us that shouting out was to avoid that task because she was removed. At this point, you and your team would have records review information, interviews, and ABC data with the function identified for each strand. As you look at each data point, decisions are made to what the behavior is communicating. To get or avoid one of those categories, it is then plugged into the box accordingly. We will model and provide time for you to practice. This is the first comment from the records review. Olivia was not getting attention from her teacher and therefore was displaying disruptive behavior in order to get her attention. We would write this comment inside the gaining attention box. Her crumpling up the homework was to get her teacher's attention. With the last two comments from the records review, please record in the box where you would place them on the matrix. Remember, think about what she is doing and what she is trying to get or avoid. Next, we will enter the interview data. Here are the comments from each interview. Where would they go? When recording the teacher interview, please indicate a capital T before the comment. The same for the parent and student, so it can be easily identified who said what. Lastly, you will record each strand of ABC data for the target behavior the team had identified. 1-1's data shows that the teacher provided attention to her when she addressed her right after she shouted out. So we would record the numbers 1.1 into the matrix under accessing attention. Now it's your turn. Read each strand and identify the function of the behavior. Again, look at the consequence and possibly the next strand, as behavior is continuous and the function may be more clear in each strand. Please write in the function for each strand. Here's a completed function matrix. At this time, you will look at the matrix to find where most of the data is located. Sometimes it could be in two areas, such as avoid work and access attention. However, one may be more prevalent than the other. If you find you have 3 functions of behavior identified, you will want to go back and look at your data, since you wouldn't want to have more than 2 functions of behavior. So after all the data is organized, it is a good idea to go over it again to ensure that the data is in the primary spot. When you look at this matrix, what is the student's primary function? A hypothesis statement contains these three components. Context of the environment is under which conditions does the target behavior display. This was found during the teacher interview and has been when the team has observed the target behavior, whole group instruction, transitions, and independent work. Here is Olivia's hypothesized function. This comes from the function matrix, which includes the functional assessment data. In this video, we reviewed the critical components of a function matrix, demonstrated how to input the functional assessment data into the matrix, used the function matrix to guide the development of the hypothesis statement. Please write the number that indicates your comfort level.